Yes, a very good afternoon, everyone. So, in yesterday's class, we had completed our discussion on the last value, that is the value of commitment to public services. And after completing that discussion, we had moved on to the next aspect, the next topic, and the topic was probity in governance. Okay. And our discussion was it was interrupted because of uh, electricity power issues. So what we are going to do is we are going to continue with that discussion today. Okay. So at the very beginning of our discussion yesterday, what we did was we specifically tried to understand what exactly is the meaning of this very term probity. We tried to understand the meaning of it. And how did we do that? So according to us, what exactly is probity? According to our yesterday's discussion, there is a relationship between the values of honesty with that of integrity and probity. There is a relationship that is there. And what is this relationship? This relationship that is there, this relationship is where we have understood probity to be the larger value. Probity is what? Probity is the larger value in comparison to. It is the larger value in comparison to the values of honesty and integrity. And we then also tried to understand what exactly makes probity a larger value. What exactly makes probity a larger value? And we concluded that probity is about incorruptibility. That means when we talk about a civil servant no, who is incorruptible is basically the civil servant with the value of, no, it is with the value of probity. That means there is an unwavering commitment towards the concept of integrity. Okay, there is an unwavering commitment towards certain moral principles, and it does not, that commitment does not change, that commitment does not reduce at any cost. That is basically how we have, that is basically how we have discussed the very, we have understood the very idea of probity. Okay. And we have, in fact, I had dictated this very concept that probity is something which is very, very important for a civil servant, because it is about the highest standards of ethics and morality. It is about an individual accepting the highest standards of ethics and morality. We have understood that just avoiding dishonesty is not probity. In fact, we looked at it from this particular example. We compared three types of civil servant: a civil servant who is dishonest, a civil servant who is corruptible. That means right now he is not dishonest, but in the future there is a possibility that he becomes dishonest. There is a possibility that he is corruptible. And then you have the third type of civil servant, a civil servant who is incorruptible. That means a civil servant who has there is no possibility for that individual to in any way be corruptible. And that is the individual with probity. And we have understood that probity is not just about not being dishonest, because if a civil servant is not dishonest but is in no but is the civil servant is inefficient, so even then it would not be correct to say what it would not be correct to say that no, there is probity. Okay. So probity will go beyond that. Okay, where an individual is honest, at the same time the individual has commitment to some unwavering standards of morality and integrity, as well as the individual being efficient and upholding public sector values like transparency, accountability, etc. that is a civil servant. That can be considered as a civil servant who is having probity. Okay, this is what we had discussed in the last class. Now, before we move on with our discussion, do you have any queries, any questions related to our discussion before we move on? Any questions? Any question that you have related to our discussion? Turning honesty into an ingrained character trait rather than honesty. ठीक है? A very good afternoon to all of you. Any questions related to yesterday's class before we move on? No questions? Okay. So let us move on to our discussion of objectives of probity. So give a subheading here and write objectives. Give a subheading here, write objectives of probity. Objectives of probity. Objectives of probity. Now, what are the objectives of probity? Write down one by one. First point. First point, to maintain integrity and ethical standards. To maintain integrity and ethical standards in in administration. Integrity and to maintain integrity and ethical standards. Ethical to maintain integrity and ethical standards in administration. That is, no, that's the first objective. See, probity, as we have seen with the diagram, if we go back to the diagram, we have seen that probity, with the existence of probity, integrity is natural. That means because probity is the larger value, so integrity comes with probity. And we have also interpreted probity to be the highest standards of highest standards of ethics and morality. So in that case, what we see is that with probity, what is going to happen is that there is going to be integrity and ethical standards in public services. Once a civil servant, any civil servant who has integrity, who has probity, will also have integrity and will also uphold the highest standards of ethics and the highest standards of moral behavior. So with probity comes integrity, with probity comes ethics in administration. Okay. Second point, to ensure fairness, to ensure fairness, impartiality, to ensure fairness, impartiality, and rule of law in administration. Okay. To ensure what? To ensure this. That means the manner in which administration functions, it should be fair, it should be impartial, and in accordance to what the law dictates. Now, this happens with probity. Okay, so if there is probity, this also comes naturally. Next point. Next point. To prevent corruption, to prevent corruption, to prevent corruption, comma, fraud, fraud, abuse of power, abuse of power, and conflict of interest, and conflict of interest. Full stop. To do what? To ensure that there is no corruption, there is no fraud, there is no abuse of power. Okay, in crux we can say it is actually a extension of the very first point, because we have seen probity results into integrity, and probity ensures the highest ethical standards. It ensures the highest ethical standards. Okay, so what is the consequence of probity? Automatically probity will ensure that there is no corruption, there is no abuse of power, there are no frauds, and there is no, in any manner, there is no conflict of interest. That means private interests are not followed at the cost of public interest. Okay, next point. To ensure compliance with established laws, to ensure compliance, to ensure compliance with established laws, with established laws, comma, rules, rules, established laws, rules, and procedures, and procedures, and procedures. Okay, so with probity, the civil servants that are there will always follow what the law, what the rules, regulations dictate, and it would not result into any of such violation. There will be no such violation. Okay, next point. To promote transparency, to promote transparency, accountability, accountability, and openness in decision making. Transparency, accountability, and openness in decision making. In decision making. That means civil servants are accountable and transparent with respect to the kind of decisions and the manner in which they are taking decisions. Okay, so the decisions that are being taken, these decisions are being taken with transparency, so everyone knows what are the decisions and how are those decisions taken. Openness, what is the basis of on which the decisions have been taken. Everyone does what? Everyone knows about it. Okay, next point. Next point. To promote efficient, to promote efficient and responsive public service delivery. Efficient and responsive public service delivery. Efficient and responsive public service delivery. Public service delivery. That means the manner in which the citizens are getting public services, that should be what? That should be citizen centric, and that should be done in the most efficient manner. Okay, And the last point, probity strengthens democratic governance. Strengthens democratic governance. Democratic governance by encouraging public participation, by encouraging public participation and responsible public service delivery. Responsible public service delivery. Responsible public service delivery. Full stop. Now, democratic governance always will include participation coming from citizens, because citizens are the key to any democratic structure. Okay, so democratic governance means when there is governance that is taken up with proper what, with proper participation. There is, with proper participation, governance is taken up. Okay, and this also does what? This also uh, improves the credibility of the institutions that are there. Okay, so all the institutions that are there, what and how credible these institutions are, this is basically ensured. This is basically ensured by probity. Okay, so these are the specific points related to what are the objectives of probity. If you no if you look at if you go back and see the PYQs, you will find that there was a no there was a question related to this very idea. I think in 2019 or 2020 mains examination, this question was basically asked. Okay, so we have understood what is probity, and we have understood what are the objectives of probity. देखो, मैं एक बार फिर से रिपीट कर रहा हूं. Probity is basically a value among civil servants which ensures that they follow the highest standards of ethics and morality. The highest standards of ethics and morality. Okay? Probity is about upholding all public sector values, including accountability, transparency, honesty, integrity. It's about that. Probity is about incorruptibility, which means that not only a civil servant, a civil servant with probity is what? Is not a civil servant simply who avoids dishonest behavior. That's not the only thing that you get. That's not the only thing that you get with probity. Probity is something which ensures what? Probity is something which ensures that as a civil servant, you are not only just honest, but you also are the most, you also are efficient. So you do not just restrict yourself. You do not just restrict yourself to simply not conducting dishonest behavior. That's not, no, that's not what probity is. Okay, जो मैंने आपको पहले बताया कि एक मान लो एक स्पेसिफिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जहां पर एक सिविल सर्वेंट है जो अपने आसपास के सिविल सर्वेंट्स को देखता है और ये समझता है that these civil servants are dishonest but does nothing about it. That civil servant is not having the value of probity. That's not probity. Okay, because probity is, no, it is more than just simple avoidance of dishonest behavior. It is more than that. ठीक है. दूसरी बात, if a civil servant is honest but not efficient, again, even that civil servant is not what? Even that civil servant is not having the value of probity. So probity goes much beyond both of this. Okay, it's about the maximum standards, है ना? It's not about minimum. Yesterday you had written this. It's not just about following the minimum standards that are required for, no, for being classified as honest. Is it goes much beyond that, where an individual starts following such a behavior which is the maximum moral behavior, the maximum ethical behavior. ठीक है? That is what it is. ठीक है? और मैं कल आपको एक एग्जाम्पल देने वाला था. ठीक है? तो मैं आपको एक बहुत ही सिंपल सा एग्जाम्पल देता हूं, और उस एग्जाम्पल से आप एग्जैक्टली प्रोबिटी क्या है एटलीस्ट आपको एक आइडिया हो जाएगा, है ना? बिकॉज वी इवॉल्व. Probity, our understanding of probity will evolve with every topic that we take up in our discussion of probity. But what is the basic introductory idea related to probity? That is something which you will, no, you will be able to understand it. Okay, चलो, एग्जाम्पल कुछ ऐसा है. एक सुपर हीरो है. द हीरो इज बैटमैन. जानते होगे आप? हाँ, डू यू नो, ऑल ऑफ यू, डू यू नो हु इज बैटमैन? ऑल ऑफ यू, डू यू नो दिस? आई होप ऑल ऑफ यू शुड नो अबाउट इट, है ना? सब जानते ही होंगे बचपन में, या इवन इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एज यू यू मे हैव सीन कॉमिक्स. देखा होगा आपने आपने नो कुछ इस तरह के प्रोग्राम्स देखे होंगे, है ना? कुछ साल पहले एक मूवी आई थी, रिलेट, इट वाज बेसिकली ऑन बैटमैन. ठीक है? मूवी का नाम था द डार्क नाइट. द डार्क नाइट. ठीक है? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव सीन दिस मूवी? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव सीन दिस मूवी, द डार्क नाइट? It was it was known for various reasons, because uh, it received Oscar in one category also. Not seen. Okay, some of you have seen this. ठीक है? Any of, not seen? I have not seen but heard about it. अंग्रेजी मूवी समझ में नहीं आती है. चलो मैं आपको एक स्पेसिफिक, देखो, इट्स अ वेरी गुड मूवी, वेरी वेल डिपिक्टेड मूवी. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि जाके आज ही देखना. ठीक है? आई हैव जस्ट, no, I have just used it as an example. ठीक है? I watched that movie and basically काफी no, मुझे I enjoyed it a lot. ठीक है? उस पर्टिकुलर मूवी में जो विलन है ना, ही इज द जोकर. बैटमैन, अगर आप बैटमैन कॉमिक्स को जानते हो तो आपको पता होगा कि एक बैटमैन का एक स्पेसिफिक विलन है, वो है जोकर. और उसको, ठीक है, उसको प्ले किया था हीथ लेजर ने. He was an Australian actor. That was his last movie. He died after it. Okay, and he received Oscar for that movie. तो उस पर्टिकुलर मूवी में जोकर जो है वो मेन विलन सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक ही चीज चाहता है. वो क्या है? He wants to expose that Batman is not an individual who is better than us. है ना? वो सुपर हीरो है, लेकिन ही इज नॉट बेटर देन अस. ही इज लाइक अस. दैट मीन्स ही इज लाइक अदर विलन्स. ही डज थिंग्स विच आर सिमिलर टू द अदर विलन्स. ओके, he does things which are similar to other villains, है ना? तो he wants to expose that. and to a particular point where he wants, ठीक है, he is in the whole movie he is putting himself in a position जब वो ये चाहता है कि बैटमैन मुझे मार दे, यानी जोकर को मार दे, क्योंकि अगर उसे ऐसा लगता है, यानी जो विलेन है उसे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर बैटमैन जोकर को मार देगा, ठीक है, अगर बैटमैन जोकर को मार देगा तो इसका मतलब ये है, ठीक है, इसका मतलब ये है कि लोगों के सामने ये एक्सपोज हो जाएगा कि देखो ही इज नॉट अ सुपर हीरो, ऐसा कोई एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ मोरालिटी नहीं है उसकी, है ना, क्योंकि इट्स अबाउट मोरालिटी, कि इट्स ऐसा नहीं है कि ही हैज सम एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ मोरालिटी, नो, ही इज लाइक एवरी वन ऑफ अस एंड ही ऑल्सो फॉलोज द सेम मॉरल और इमोरल कोड्स दैट वी फॉलो। ये पूरी मूवी में दिखाने की, उसने करने की कोशिश की है ना, to an extent wherein he goes to an extent wherein he actually kills. Now the Joker even goes to an extent wherein he kills the the basic, the main heroine of the movie that is there, the lead actor, the female actor that is there, she's killed by the killed by the Joker. और लास्ट तक what Batman does is that he does not kill him. He gets an opportunity even till the last when he actually catches the Joker. He does not kill him. He does not kill him, है ना। देखो अब इंपॉर्टेंट बात है, जो अभी तक था वो तो मूवी की कहानी थी, लेकिन प्रोबिटी क्या है ये समझना इस पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन में कुछ ऐसा है। देखो उसने किसी ऐसे इंडिविजुअल को मारा दैट पॉसिबली प्रोवोक्ड हिम इनटू सच एन एक्शन। इफ ही वुड हैव किल्ड द इंडिविजुअल इट वुड स्टिल हैव बीन जस्टिफाइड, है ना, जस्टिफाइड होता कि देखो उसने उसको मारा इसलिए, नो इट वॉज माई रिवेंज दैट आई किल्ड हिम, तो वो जस्टिसेबल भी होता कि ना, जस्टिफाइड होता कि ठीक है चलो मैंने इस वजह से ऐसा किया, मैंने इस वजह से ऐसा किया, जस्टिफाइड होता। बट अगर वो ऐसा करता तो इससे एक बात क्लियर थी, क्या, दैट ही कंसीडर्स हिमसेल्फ टू बी अबव द रूल्स, अबव द लॉज। तो अगर कोई और रूल तोड़ता है, लॉज तोड़ता है, तब तो आप उसे पनिश करते हो, लेकिन जब आप रूल तोड़ोगे, आप लॉज को तोड़ोगे, तो आप ये चाहते हो कि आपको डिफरेंशियल ट्रीटमेंट मिले बिकॉज यू आर द बैटमैन, तो आपको डिफरेंशियल ट्रीटमेंट मिले। नाउ दिस would be a violation of what probity says, because probity says maximum standards of morality, maximum standards of ethics, है ना। So the whole movie is about the Joker trying to prove that Batman is just like us, he is no one special and he does not have a extraordinary moral code. There is no extraordinary moral code that he has. He also has the same moral code like others. He wants to prove that. लेकिन इन सारी चीजों के बावजूद Batman does not do it. That means even when he gets the opportunity, when he catches the Joker, he does not kill him. He does not kill him. क्या मतलब है? Highest standards of morality. No, that means the individual's personal losses are nothing which can even shake his moral conduct. It's nothing. It will not shake his moral conduct. Yes, he does what? Yes, he does catch people or he does punish people who are in violation of law, but at the same time he also considers himself not to be immune from law but also under what? Under the law. He is not immune from it. क्या है? Highest moral code, highest moral code, highest ethical code. And this is exactly what probity looks like. This is what incorruptibility looks like. कि कुछ भी हो जाए, an individual will not do what he considers wrong. If he considers it that this is not right, this is not correct, so he will not do it. है ना? और इसीलिए उस मूवी में जो लास्ट डायलॉग है ऑफ द जोकर इज दिस, यू आर सिंपली इनकरप्टेबल. उसमें जो लास्ट डायलॉग है वो यही है, यू आर सिंपली इनकरप्टेबल. व्हाट इज इट? इट इज प्रोबिटी. इट इज व्हाट? इट इज probity, the highest standards where an individual keeps his personal likes dislikes aside. He considers himself to also be subjected to the same rules and regulations, the same laws as everyone else, है ना? As everyone else. That is what incorruptibility or probity looks like. And when we say probity in governance, what we expect is that civil servants follow the same line. Civil servants also uphold the highest standards of morality, ethics, or incorruptibility. The highest standards. That is basically what is followed. ठीक है? That is basically what is followed. Clear? Have you understood it now? What is probity? देखो, आपको इसमें बड़ा मन लगता होगा कि मूवी का एग्जाम्पल सर दे रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो मूवी के एग्जाम्पल से मैंने आपको एक्सप्लेन किया है कि व्हाट इज प्रोबिटी. हैव यू अंडरस्टूड इट? यस और नो? देखो, अब आई थिंक नाउ यू शुड नॉट हैव एनी डाउट related to it, but still if you have any questions still related to what the term probity means, I will I will basically explain that. Sir, can we take an example of यूफोरिया मूवी? मैंने नहीं देखा है यूफोरिया. पिजोश, आई हैव नॉट सीन दैट. हाँ, इसीलिए ये एग्जाम्पल दिया है मैंने ताकि आप इस एग्जाम्पल को हमेशा ध्यान में रखोगे. इनकरप्टिबिलिटी इज व्हाट प्रोबिटी इज. ठीक है? ओके, सो वी हैव अंडरस्टूड व्हाट इज प्रोबिटी एंड वी हैव ऑल्सो अंडरस्टूड व्हाट द फीचर्स ऑफ प्रोबिटी आर. ठीक है? Now if you look at the rest of the syllabus of this very topic, probity in governance is basically about how can probity be achieved or what is the challenge to probity, है ना? So rest of the syllabus is what? If you look at rest of the syllabus, you will find that the rest of the syllabus is basically centered around this concept. पहला आपके सिलेबस में एक पार्ट ये है ऑफ दिस टॉपिक, हाउ टू एंश्योर प्रोबिटी. हाउ टू एंश्योर probity. Okay, and the second part is challenges. What are the challenges? Okay, now when it comes to how to ensure probity, so your syllabus says that it talks about something called as quality of public service delivery. It talks about work culture. It talks about information transparency and information sharing. It talks about citizens charter. And it also talks about corruption. Okay, how corruption becomes what? How corruption is a challenge. How corruption is a challenge to the very idea of, how it is a challenge to the very idea of corruption, to the very idea of probity. Okay? No, you will not write any such thing. Now, what we discuss one by one, let us basically talk about it. Okay, ठीक है. अब जो भी हम discuss करेंगे in this line, you will write that. Okay. So first topic that we start with is our discussion on quality of service delivery. Quality of service quality of service delivery. ठीक है. देखो, it is this topic that we are now discussing. It's a topic which has practical orientation as well. ठीक है, because it's related to governance. Okay, it's a topic which is related to governance, so it has a practical orientation as well. Okay, so we will talk about it, we will understand it from theoretical perspective, and we will also bring about practical understanding of all of these ideas. ठीक है, ये आपको समझना है. Clear? This is a very important topic. I expect at least one or two questions, minimum two questions I expect you get from the topic probity in governance. ठीक है. Okay, let us now move on. Let us now no let's try and understand all of this very idea. Now we are talking about quality of service delivery. ठीक है. Now how do we, let's begin our discussion with the very idea as to how do we measure service and quality of service. How do we measure? आपको क्या लगता है? आप मुझे ये बताओ. How do you measure quality of service? बताओ मुझे. How do you measure quality of service? है ना, आज मूवीज का दिन है. आज मैं आपको मूवीज के एग्जाम्पल के थ्रू आपको चीजें बताऊंगा. ठीक है. हाउ डू वी मेजर क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस? जस्ट आई एम आस्किंग योर एक्सपीरियंस. आप मुझे बताओ, आप बहुत सारे सर्विसेज जो है ना, बहुत सारे सर्विसेज आप यूज करते हो, और अकॉर्डिंगली यू इवन टॉक अबाउट व्हाट, यू इवन मेजर देम, यू जज देम कि अच्छा था, नहीं था, बहुत बढ़िया था, बहुत बुरा था. By public satisfaction. No, I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about you. How do you measure? How do you measure this? Forget about the people. You suppose you go to a particular organization which is offering you a certain service. When you reach there, what basically is your reason for judging that? Professionalism. Yes, professionalism can definitely be one of no one of the no, it could be one of the measures. Making merit based decision free from favoritism without bias rather than partitions. By feedback, through good governance. Through good governance, by experiences. देखो स्नेहा ने कितनी अच्छी बात बोली है. By experiences. Very very simple idea. देखो, try and understand. Let's begin our discussion with understanding of the difference between the two ideas, goods and services. Goods and services. Let us try and understand that. देखो, Ritika has mentioned it correctly. Efficiency, effectiveness, reliability, responsiveness and satisfaction, which in simple words, it is how and what our experiences are, है ना. Anyways, for those who have not understood it, don't worry. ठीक है. फॉर दोज हु हैव नॉट अंडरस्टूड दिस आइडिया, डोंट वरी. अब हम इसको बहुत बेसिक से समझते हैं, ताकि आपको ये समझ में आएगा कि डिफिकल्टी क्या है जब हम सर्विसेज को क्या करते हैं, जब हम सर्विसेज को मेजर करते हैं, तो नो तो उसमें नो उसमें डिफिकल्टी क्या आती है वो समझो. देखो, गुड्स के साथ क्या, गुड्स आर टेंजेबल. गुड्स आर व्हाट? गुड्स आर टेंजेबल. Goods are tangible. And because goods are tangible, That is the reason why it is something which is easy to measure. It is something which is easy to measure. Okay, goods are tangible and therefore it is easy to measure. And by measure, what I mean, I'm talking about quality. I'm talking about quality. Quality of goods that are there, it becomes easy to measure. It becomes easy to measure. Why? Because it is tangible. Simple example. You buy a pair of shoes. Shoes is what? It's a good. Why? Because it is tangible and you can easily measure it. The quality of it can be easily measured. कैसे? आप उन जूतों को पहनोगे तो आप देखोगे 3 फैक्टर्स. पहला, कंफर्ट, है ना? इज इट कंफर्टेबल और नॉट? एंड बाय वेयरिंग द शूज you automatically you will experience it, whether it is whether it is actually no whether it is comfortable or not. Secondly, is it durable? है ना? Is it durable? That if you are wearing it, does it last long or not? है ना? कि हो सकता है, if you are buying it, if you suppose you are buying an expensive shoes, if you are buying an expensive shoes, so what happens is that in that case there is always a possibility that if you are buying that shoes, you expect it to be durable. Suppose you buy you buy pair of shoes maybe for, ठीक है आजकल तो शूज बहुत महंगे आते हैं, इट हैज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपेंसिव शूज, बट जो जनरली एक मिडिल क्लास में लोग रहते हुए खरीदते वो होता है सपोज 3 4 5,000 समथिंग अराउंड दैट. ठीक है, अगर मैंने इतने पैसे खर्च किए हैं फॉर बाइंग अ पेयर ऑफ शूज, तो मैं ये तो चाहूंगा कि वो ड्यूरेबल रहे. मैं चाहूंगा कि कम से कम 2 3 साल, एटलीस्ट 2 3 years इट शुड बेसिकली इट शुड I should wear it. In fact, what I mean is that हो सकता है वो उससे ज्यादा भी चले. हो सकता है आप इसमें maybe after a year or so you buy another shoes, but the last one should be durable to still continue going, है ना? क्योंकि आजकल क्या होता है, आजकल लोगों के पास एक नहीं मल्टीपल शूज होते हैं. पहले हमारे टाइम पे ऐसा नहीं हुआ करता था. लोग एक जूते खरीदते थे, हमारे पेरेंट्स हमें एक खरीद के देते थे और वो जब तक चलता था हम वही पहनते थे. हमें तो पता भी नहीं था कि ऐसा भी होता है कि लोग 2 खरीदते हैं शूज. एनीवेज, ड्यूरेबल होना चाहिए, कंफर्टेबल होना चाहिए, और तीसरी बात, फैशनेबल होना चाहिए, है ना? फैशनेबल होना चाहिए, अच्छा दिखना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं है कि ड्यूरेबल है और कंफर्टेबल है तो हो गया. नहीं, अच्छा दिखना भी चाहिए. जब आप पहन के उसे निकलो बाहर तो लोग आपकी शूज को देखकर बोले हाँ देखो कितना बढ़िया है, बहुत इट लुक्स वेरी गुड. यू विल लाइक दैट, है ना? अगर आप कोई नए जूते खरीदते हो एंड यू वेयर इट एंड यू गो टू अ मे बी अ फ्रेंड्स प्लेस एंड ही और शी डज व्हाट, ही और शी प्रेजेस योर चॉइस कि देखो कितना बढ़िया जूता खरीदा आपने. यू विल लाइक इट. दैट मीन्स अ गुड, in this case a pair of shoes, it is so easy for us to measure the quality of it. It is so easy. Why? Because it is tangible and hence we can measure it. We can measure it on the basis of parameters like comfort, durability and fashionability, or how good it looks. उसके बेसिस पर हमने मेजर कर लिया. और ये किसी भी गुड के लिए किसी भी गुड के लिए, एक्सपेंसिव से एक्सपेंसिव और चीप से चीप गुड्स, चीपर नहीं, इनएक्सपेंसिव वुड बी द राइट वर्ड, है ना? मैंने मान लो एक एयर कंडीशनर खरीदा तो मैं उसे मेजर कर सकता हूं. व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ कूलिंग दैट इट डज, है ना? मेंटेनेंस कितना है ना? एंड इज इट एस्थेटिक? आजकल ये टर्म बहुत चल रहा है, इज इट एस्थेटिक? कि क्या वो मेरे कमरे में अच्छा लगता है? डज इट लुक वेल प्लेस्ड और नॉट? इसके बेसिस पर क्या हुआ, इसके बेसिस पर आपने मेजर कर लिया वेदर इट इज क्वालिटेटिवली गुड और नॉट. what did you do? You were able to measure it. You were able to measure it. है ना? So when it comes to goods, tangibility of goods does what? Tangibility of goods makes it easy to measure its quality. Why? Because there are fixed objective parameters, and on those objective parameters you can measure a good, whether the quality of good is right, not right, whatever. है ना? But that is not the case when it comes to services. Why? Because services are not tangible. Services are intangible. It is intangible. It is intangible. And because services are intangible, that is the reason why it is not easy to do what? It is not easy for us to be able to measure services on the objective parameters. It is not easy for us to be able to measure it on objective parameters. इसीलिए आप देखोगे किसी एक इंडिविजुअल के लिए एक सर्विस बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन वही सर्विस किसी और इंडिविजुअल के लिए, किसी दूसरे इंडिविजुअल के लिए शायद अच्छा नहीं है. The second individual may not like the same standards. Why? Because it is intangible. And intangibility does what? Intangibility makes it subjective to measure. Subjective to measure the quality. It is what? It is subjective to measure the quality of services. Till this point, is it clear? The objectiveness of goods and the subjectiveness of services. क्या ये बात क्लियर है to all of you? Yes or no? बताओ मुझे. Yes. Till this particular point. Any doubts? Do you have any doubts till this particular point? Anyone? I hope all of you have understood this idea. I have just explained two things. First, I have explained the objectivity of measuring goods, and I have also explained the subjectivity of what? Subjectivity of measuring quality of service. I have just explained these two ideas, nothing else. I have not gone into the technicalities as of now. अभी तक तो मैंने technicalities की बात की ही नहीं है ना? Technicalities की बात नहीं की है मैंने. ठीक है? Yes, I will repeat services. See, Shivani, services are not tangible. है ना? Services are not tangible. Services is not something that I can, touch or I can wear. It is not like that. Services are basically our experiences. And it's basically our experience. And I will give you an example for it so that you understand it. और इसी वजह से होता क्या है that services are subjective because it lacks objectivity. For someone, a particular service may be very good, but for someone else, the same service would not necessarily suffice. It would not necessarily be good. है ना? It would not necessarily be good. मान लो एक इंडिविजुअल है, ठीक है, एक मिडिल क्लास का एक इंडिविजुअल है, वो जाता है किसी रेस्टोरेंट में जाता है, वो वहां पर बैठता है, ही इज नॉट वेरी यूज्ड टू इट, वो रेस्टोरेंट में जाता है, वो वहां पर क्या देखता है कि ही कम्स, देर इज अ वेटर, देर इज समवन हु अटेंड्स हिम, ही गिव्स द ऑर्डर, द इंडिविजुअल ब्रिंग्स फूड, ही हैज हिज फूड, और वो वहां से चला जाता है। ठीक है, नाउ ही फील्स, देखो कितनी अच्छी चीज है, आप गए, आपने बोला, आपके लिए खाना बन के आया, आपने खाया, यू डोंट हैव टू वॉश डिशेज, नो यू डोंट हैव टू वॉश डिशेज, यू डोंट हैव टू मेक योर ओन फूड, देखो कितनी अच्छी चीज है। सो फॉर दैट इंडिविजुअल सर्विस वुड बी वेरी गुड, है ना, फॉर दैट इंडिविजुअल दैट सर्विस इज वेरी गुड, बट एट द सेम टाइम that would not be the case for someone else who is used to it, है ना, someone else who is used to no who is used to going to a restaurant, having food generally outside, तो होगा क्या, वो जाएगा वहां पर, ठीक है, ठीक है, जाएगा वो वहां पर जैसे ही वो जाता है तो क्या होगा, नो ही ऑर्डर्स फूड, ठीक है, अब वो फूड के लिए वेट कर रहा है, हो सकता है क्योंकि वो फूड के लिए वेट कर रहा है, देर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी दैट द फूड अराइव्स अ बिट लेट, सो it may so happen that the food arrives maybe 5 minutes 10 minutes late because of different reasons, so what happens now, he is not satisfied, मतलब एक इंडिविजुअल, वो सर्विस उस इंडिविजुअल के लिए सेटिस्फैक्ट्री और अच्छा था, लेकिन दूसरे इंडिविजुअल के लिए डिसअपॉइंटिंग था, दूसरे इंडिविजुअल के लिए क्या था, दूसरे इंडिविजुअल के लिए डिसअपॉइंटिंग था, दैट मीन्स द एक्सपीरियंसेस दैट आर देयर, दीज एक्सपीरियंसेस बेसिकली नो इट मेक्स द सर्विसेज सब्जेक्टिव। मैंने बोला था ना आपको आज मूवीज के थ्रू आपको एग्जाम्पल, ठीक है, मूवीज के थ्रू आपको एग्जाम्पल मैं दूंगा, तो एक दूसरा एग्जाम्पल देता हूं एक दूसरी मूवी का, बट दिस इज नॉट अबाउट द मूवी, इट इज अबाउट द एक्सपीरियंस, ठीक है। ऑल ऑफ यू मस्ट नो द मूवी बाहुबली, है ना, बाहुबली मूवी। अब जब बाहुबली फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द मूवी रिलीज्ड, ठीक है, फर्स्ट पार्ट, तो उस समय फॉर सम रीजन आई वॉज नॉट एबल टू वॉच दैट मूवी, ठीक है, इन द थिएटर, ठीक है, मैंने थिएटर में वो मूवी नहीं देखी फॉर सम रीजंस आई डोंट रिमेंबर, बट वी प्लान्ड, आवर फ्रेंड्स, we planned the family, we had a plan that we would be going for that, but we could not, but we watched it, uh, I think in the TV या कुछ ऐसा हुआ, वहां पे हमने वो मूवी देखी, एंड आई रियली लाइक्ड द मूवी, it was comparatively a different experience related to जनरल मूवी वॉचिंग, उससे थोड़ा एक्सपीरियंस था, एक तो मूवी ज्यादा एंगेजिंग थी एंड सो ऑन, तो हुआ, एंड व्हेन आई वॉच द मूवी वी डिसाइडेड, ठीक है, हम वी वेर अराउंड 4-5 फ्रेंड्स along with our families, so we decided that because there would be a second part that would release, so we will go and watch the second part, ठीक है, and the second part of the movie came in 2017, I remember it, 2017, and I think it was a Saturday or something like that, and at the late night, ठीक है, obviously because of classes etc, but फिर भी लेट नाइट मौका मिला और हम मूवी देखने गए, बाहुबली 2 द कंक्लूजन, है ना, समथिंग लाइक दैट, एंड आई फेल्ट डिसअपॉइंटेड आफ्टर द मूवी, है ना, आई फेल्ट डिसअपॉइंटेड, आई फेल्ट दैट इतनी अच्छी मूवी तो नहीं थी ये, द फर्स्ट पार्ट वॉज वेरी गुड, सेकेंड पार्ट इनफैक्ट I felt that it was no in between the movie I felt it was stretching, और मुझे बड़ा मजा नहीं आया, I did not enjoy that movie, so when I came back, I एक दिन, है ना, मूवी का वो हैंगओवर रहता है, so we used to talk about, I used to talk about it with my wife and I used to tell, यार मजा नहीं आया, जिस तरह से फर्स्ट मूवी का ये था, मजा नहीं आया, ठीक है। अब कुछ दिनों बाद द सेम डायरेक्टर रिलीज्ड अ मूवी, द मूवी वॉज RRR, ठीक है, I hope you know about this movie also. But but I was, I had that, Bahubali 2 hangover still कि यार ये movie same director, I don't know whether I should be going for it or not. हो सकता है ओवर द टॉप मूवी बना हो, जो मजा आता नहीं है मुझे. आई फील आई कैन रिलेट मोर टू ग्राउंडेड मूवीज, है ना. तो आरआरआर मूवी देखने नहीं गए. बट दिस बाय दिस टाइम, ठीक है, बाय दिस टाइम माई सन वॉज आई थिंक 3-4 years ओल्ड, ठीक है, और 5 years ओल्ड, समवेयर अराउंड दैट एज ही वॉज. तो एक दिन द मूवी वॉज रिलीज्ड ऑन नेटफ्लिक्स, है ना. बाय द टाइम द मूवी केम ऑन, आरआरआर केम ऑन नेटफ्लिक्स. So it was a Saturday and we decided कि आज जो है, me and my son, we decided that we will have a movies night. और हम डिनर करने के बाद हम लोग, we will watch this movie. It was on Netflix, available on Netflix. ठीक है. तो हमने वो मूवी देखी. बहुत एंटरटेनिंग मूवी थी. ऑफ कोर्स आरआरआर वाज अ वेरी एंटरटेनिंग मूवी. वी लाइक्ड इट, माय सन लव्ड इट, है ना. एंड when it was around 2:30, अगले दिन संडे था, और माई क्योंकि मूवी में एक्शन था काफी आरआरआर में, तो ही वॉज ही वॉज नो मूड टू स्लीप. तो उन्होंने बोला पापा, ही सेड मी दैट प्लीज लेट अस वॉच सम अदर मूवीज ऑल्सो, द सेम डायरेक्टर, है ना. कुछ ऐसा मूवी अगर आपके पास, आप मुझे बताओ, वी विल वॉच दैट मूवी. सो आई रिमेंबर्ड दैट Bahubali second movie was also available on Netflix by then. ठीक है. तो मैंने उसको बोला कि देखो ये मूवी है, अगर देखना है तो चलो देखते हैं ये मूवी, ठीक है. सो वी डिड व्हाट, वी सॉ द मूवी सेकंड टाइम. दैट मीन्स दिस टाइम आफ्टर आई थिंक 4-5-6 years I saw the movie again, Bahubali 2, this time on Netflix. लेकिन इस बार मूवी मुझे बुरी नहीं लगी. The last time that I saw, that means the first time that I saw the movie, I did not enjoy it. In fact, I felt that yaar kya hai, this is not the right movie. But second time this was not the case. This was not my reaction. The second time I felt the movie to be okay, good enough, enjoyable even. कि ठीक है, enjoyable है, one time watch है, it's well depicted, अच्छा choreography वगैरह, and it was good enough. The same movie, the second time, evokes different response in comparison to the first time. कोई मुझे बता सकता है क्यों? कोई मुझे बता सकता है क्यों? बताओ, ऐसा क्यों हुआ? फर्स्ट टाइम इन कंपैरिजन टू द सेकंड टाइम, why was there a difference? Why was there a difference? Tell me, why was there a difference? Who will tell me? सोचो, डिफरेंस क्यों आया? Because second time you were not comparing by first movie, and you had a high, and you have to have any high expectations. State of mind की वजह से नहीं था. Because of a good attitude built by the last movie, due to high expectations. In this case, the second time I did not have the high expectations. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. The difference was in my expectations. The difference was what? The difference was in my expectations. देखो, services में, because of its intangibility, now service quality is decided by two factors. What are the factors? The first factor is the expectation versus the second factor is perception. What was my expectation in comparison to what? In comparison to my perception. What was my expectation in comparison to my perception? If my expectation was very high, if my expectation was very high, ठीक है, if my expectation is very high and my perception does not match my expectation, if the perception that is there, it does not match my expectation, what would be the result of it? What would be the result of it? The result of it would be that my judgment of the service would not, it would not be considered right. I would not consider the judgment, I would not judge it positively. Why? Because it did not meet my expectations. On the second hand, that means in the second time, what happened was that my expectations were low in comparison to the previous time. Previously, my expectations was very high and my perception did not match my expectation, है ना? Perception कम रह गया, expectation बहुत ज्यादा था. And that is the reason why what happened was that because of this, I judged the service, in this case the movie, to not be good. But in the second time, what happened was my expectation was low and my perception maybe in the second time exceeded my expectation. है ना? यही subjectivity है. This is the subjectivity. It primarily depends upon what? It primarily depends upon expectation versus perception. If your expectations are high, but your perception is not, it does not match the expectation. If it does not match the expectation, what will be the result of it? What would be the result of it? The result of it would be that there would be a gap, and this gap will cause dissatisfaction. But if my perception and my expectation match, I will judge the service positively. If my expectation is suppose X and my perception maybe goes beyond my expectation, it goes beyond my expectation, then what happens? If it goes beyond my expectation, now I will consider it to be what? I would make that judgment to be positive, good, very good. Why? Because it matched my expectation, in fact went beyond it. Yahi subjectiveness hai. This is the subjectiveness that is there when it comes to services. Is it clear? समझ में आया what I'm trying to tell you? Have you understood what I'm trying to tell you? Yes or no? Yes, tell me. देखो आदित्य, ये बात मुझे बिल्कुल नहीं समझ में आई. आई वॉज नॉट एबल टू डिफरेंशिएट. ये मैं नहीं समझा, बट ठीक है, बात बहुत सिंपल सी है. दिस इज द सब्जेक्टिविटी दैट इज देयर व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट सर्विसेज. क्लियर? सो गुड्स आर ऑब्जेक्टिव, therefore easily the quality of it is easily measured. Services are not tangible, therefore the quality of it is not easily measured. it becomes difficult to measure its quality. Clear? Please write this down. Please write this down. An introduction, please write this down. The measurement of quality of services, the measurement of quality of services, the measurement of quality of services is subjective, is subjective, is subjective as services are intangible. Services are intangible. Services are intangible. And therefore, services are intangible and therefore lack objective parameters, objective parameters, objective parameters for its measurement, for its measurement, for its measurement, for its measurement. Full stop. On the other hand, goods are tangible. Goods are tangible and therefore its quality and therefore its quality can be, its quality can be measured on objective parameters, on objective parameters. Full stop. Full stop. Therefore, services, therefore, services therefore, services are measured on the basis of, are measured on the basis of, measured on the basis of our expectations, our expectations, our expectations in comparison to our perception of the service, in comparison to our perception, our perception of the service. Of the service. Full stop. Full stop. If perception matches our expectations, if perception matches our expectations, perception matches our expectations, we rate it to be good, we rate it to be good, and if it fails to match, if it fails to match our expectations, fails to match our expectations, fails to match our expectations, we may rate it, we may rate it as not that good, not that good, full stop, full stop. ठीक है? So whenever we are talking about quality of service, our expectations matter, है ना? our expectations matter. देखो, अगर हम आज 21st century, in fact we have already completed quarter of this century, है ना? Quarter of the 21st century is already over, and now we are in the second quarter of the 21st century. In the second quarter of the 21st century, where everything is governed by technology, everything now is being influenced by artificial intelligence. It's being influenced by artificial intelligence, है ना? Everything is governed by technology, artificial intelligence, social media. So our expectations, it is being redefined because of it. It is being redefined because of it. So today what happens is that when we go to a government organization, and in the government organization, if our experience is where we see things being done manually and technology not being, it's not being leveraged, if we do not see services being offered through the use of technology to us, what happens as a result of it? What happens as a result of it is that it fails to match our expectations. Our perception fails to match our expectations. So technology and a tech-enabled government organization is necessary because of it. है ना? It's necessary because of it. अगर मैं आज किसी बैंक में जाता हूं, है ना? मान लो अगर मैं किसी बैंक में जाता हूं, now what is my expectation with the bank? My expectation with the bank is that, see, we generally today we use things like QR codes. We are making payments through scanners instantly. In fact, there are very few services for which we actually physically go to the bank. And the experience with technology is that technology has made things easier. Technology has done what? It has made things easier. It has made things being done more instantly. So things like delays, things like wait time, these things are what? These things are in contradiction to our expectations. It is in contradiction to our expectations. So what happens? What is the result of it? The result of it is that if such expectations are no, if the government services that are being offered, if it fails to match our expectations, what will be the consequence of it? The consequence of it would be that we would rate such services below par, below the quality at which or through which it should have been delivered, है ना? It should have been delivered. देखो, जब हम एयरपोर्ट पे जाते हैं और जब हम रेलवे स्टेशन पे जाते हैं, तो हमारे एक्सपेक्टेशंस अलग होते हैं. जब हम एयरपोर्ट पे जाते हैं तो वी वांट एवरीथिंग क्लीन, वी वांट एवरीथिंग टाइडी, nothing should be out of place, everything should be, no, everything should be smooth. हमारे एक्सपेक्टेशंस अलग जब हम वो जाते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि जब हम उन चीजों को हमने एक्सपीरियंस किया है. सो what happens is that when we go to such, such places, our expectations are different. And when our expectations are different, and when we see what perception it is, what perception with, what is the perception with, which we see that. So what happens is that it generates new expectations. So next time, that is the expectation that we have. And if ever we go to an organization which does not match that, suppose tomorrow we go to a airport which is run, obviously run by the government, and that airport does not match the expectation that we have. It does not match the expectation that we have. What will be the result of it? The result of it would be that we would rate such services not to be good. On the other hand, when it comes to traveling through trains, railways, etc., so in that case, a bit of disorganization is a part of our expectation. हम एक्सपेक्ट ही करते हैं कि चीजें थोड़ा बहुत डिसऑर्गेनाइज्ड होंगी. It would be a part of, it is a part of our expectations, है ना? And therefore, what happens is that if we see a bit of disorganization, we don't still consider the service to be bad. What is the difference? It is the difference primarily is on expectation versus perception. Clear? That is primarily what the quality, the term quality of service that we are talking about, the term quality of service, and how it is so subjective to measure service. You have to understand that part. Okay? Now, next we come to, first we discuss one more thing before we move on, which is give a subheading and write basic features of services. Basic features of services. Basic features of services. ठीक है? Just this topic is related to governance, है ना? You are reading probity in governance, and we have understood what probity is. So when we talk about expectations or perception, very much the expectations that we have and the perception that we have, it is influenced by the value of probity, है ना? अगर कोई ऐसा गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, बहुत ध्यान से सुनना, if you have any confusion related to relating the topic to ethics or तो for you specifically, if you go to a government organization and the people in the organization have the values that we have seen as a part of the values of probity, what will happen? Your expectation and your perception, there would be a match there, है ना? क्यों? क्योंकि आप देख रहे हो कि हर इंडिविजुअल अपना काम कर रहा है, बेस्ट पॉसिबल तरीके से करने की कोशिश कर रहा है, द मोस्ट एफिशिएंट तरीके से करने की कोशिश कर रहा है. So because of probity that will happen, so your expectations will be impacted by that. Okay, your expectations will be impacted by that. Lack of probity will do what? It will act absolutely in contradiction to that. Because lack of probity means what? You go to the government organization, you find that people are not discharging their responsibilities properly, maybe not efficiently, maybe not accountable. They are not accountable, or they are not transparently delivering such services, है ना? So that will have an impact. Okay, so there is a correlation. We'll come to that very correlation. Okay, let us come to this understanding. What are the basic features of services? Okay, first point, write down. Write down the very first point. Services are measured primarily on two parameters. Primarily on two parameters. Those are service outcome and second, service experience. Service outcome and service experience. Service outcome and service experience. Full stop. Full stop. Outcome refers to the result obtained whereas experience refers to the manner in which service was delivered. The manner in which service was delivered. Full stop. Okay, so whenever we talk about services, there are two important things, parameters. First is the outcome. Outcome is the result obtained, and second is the experience being the manner in which service was delivered. According to you, what is important? According to you, what is more important? Tell me, is it outcome or is it experience? जैसे कहने मैं मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे ये है कि जब मैं किसी भी सर्विस को जज करने की कोशिश करता हूं, तो इन दोनों में से कौन सा फैक्टर ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है मेरे लिए? इज इट आउटकम और इज इट एक्सपीरियंस? टेल मी. Adhira says experience. What about others? Arpit says outcome. Ridhima says experience. Most of you are answering in experience. Yes, absolutely correct. The answer is experience. Experience becomes more important. Experience becomes more important in comparison to outcome. I'm not saying that outcome is not important. I'm not saying that outcome is not important. What I'm saying is service experience is also very important. In fact, service experience is something that we prefer. और इसको समझने का एक सिंपल तरीका है. देखो, गवर्नमेंट बैंक्स को जब हम प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक से कंपेयर करते हैं और जब हम इन सर्विसेज को यूज करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट वर्सेस प्राइवेट सेक्टर, व्हेन वी आर ट्राइंग टू यूज देम, तो क्या होगा? तो आप ये देखोगे, ठीक है, आप ये देखोगे कि जनरली जब आप किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ठीक है, आप किसी गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जाओगे और सपोज यू आर डिमांडिंग बैंकिंग सर्विसेज, यू विल सी ओके देयर इज नो डिफरेंस, है ना, ठीक है, बैंकिंग सर्विसेज है, इट्स एब्सोल्युटली फाइन, यू आर गेटिंग द सर्विसेज, ठीक है. तो अगर बैंक ए है जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक है और बैंक बी है जो पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक है, दे आर ऑफरिंग द सेम सर्विसेज, they are offering the same services. You want, maybe, no, you want to open a savings account, or you may, want a loan, something like that. You go to such, no, both the banks are offering same services. What is different is the experience that you have. What is different is the experience that you have. When you go to a private sector bank, your experience is qualitatively very different from a public sector bank. In a private sector bank, you go there, you will find people willing to serve you, है ना. आप जाओगे वहां देखोगे अच्छा लोग हैं, वो आपको सर्व करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. दे आर ट्राइंग टू डू देयर बेस्ट, है ना. दे आर ट्राइंग टू हेल्प यू इन अ मैनर दैट इज पॉसिबल, वट एवर कैन बी डन, and how conveniently it can be done. That means the experience, now the experience is different in comparison to a public sector bank. Public sector bank में जाओगे, वहां पर खड़े हो, कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है ना, कोई नहीं पूछ रहा आपको. हो सकता है आप उस बैंक को बिजनेस ही देने गए हो सकता है आप, अगर यू आर समवन हु is likely to know is running a business, and if you open an account in that bank, the bank is likely to earn a lot of money from you, but no one is concerned. So what you go, you go there, you sit there, you find no one being, no one taking care of you, no one asking what the, what kind of services you want, nothing like that. What matters is experience. Experience is something which is very 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 important. क्लियर. सो आप देखोगे सर्विस आउटकम सिमिलर हो सकता है लेकिन एक्सपीरियंस विल बी डिफरेंट. ओके, सेकेंड पॉइंट, राइट डाउन. सेकेंड पॉइंट, द एट्रीब्यूट्स ऑफ द सर्विस डिलीवरी पर्सनल. सेकेंड पॉइंट इज द एट्रीब्यूट्स ऑफ द सर्विस डिलीवरी पर्सनल, attributes of service delivery personnel is an important component of service delivery process, is an important component of service delivery process, important component of service delivery process. Full stop. Full stop. ठीक है, देखो, attributes of the service delivery personnel. I will no, I have one more sentence to dictate here, लेकिन समझो. attributes of the service delivery personnel. How does the attribute of the service delivery personnel impact the service delivery process? It impacts the service delivery process because the attributes that they have in terms of competence, in terms of attitude that they hold, है ना, वो मैटर करता है. देखो, मान लो आप किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जाते हो and the individual who is to serve you does not have the competence to do that. That means they do not necessarily have the necessary skills to serve you. They do not have the necessary skills to serve you. तो होगा क्या? होगा ये कि you go there and you find the individual to be incompetent. If you find the individual to be incompetent, you will rate the service negatively. What will you do? You will rate the service negatively. In complete contradiction, if you go to an organization where you want a certain service, you are demanding a certain service, and when you go there, you get, because the individual is so competent, you get more than what you expect out of the organization, है ना? You get more than what you expect. What will be the result then? The result would be your perception will be much higher and you will rate the service positively. You will rate the service positively, है ना? और पब्लिक और प्राइवेट सेक्टर में ये बहुत फर्क होता है. आप जब पब्लिक सेक्टर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में जाते हो तो आप देखोगे कि पब्लिक सेक्टर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में समटाइम्स देयर मे बी पीपल at important positions which are not competent to man those positions. They are not competent to man those positions. और उसकी वजह से आपका सर्विस एक्सपीरियंस पूरी तरह से खराब हो जाता है. Your service experience completely gets destroyed because of that, है ना? आप जाते हो, you are waiting, you are not getting service. Why? Because the individual is not competent. But in private sector, on the other hand, you will find that the organizations tend to recruit private, competent individuals in your in those positions. And when they recruit important competent individuals, the experience changes. आप जाते हो, you go there with one expectation, but you get two rather than just one. So competence matters. Also, what matters is the attitude that the individual has, है ना? Attitude also matters. आप देखोगे पब्लिक सेक्टर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में one of the primary reasons of why services are not delivered up to the mark, why services are not rated positively, is the attitudes that the individual holds, है ना? जो सर्विस डिलीवरी पर्सनल है, उनके जो एटीट्यूड है वो ऐसा हो जाता है और उस एटीट्यूड की वजह से कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकते हैं. दैट एटीट्यूड बिकम्स अ प्रॉब्लम, है ना? आप जाते हो, यू आर डिमांडिंग अ पर्टिकुलर सर्विस, है ना? यू आर डिमांडिंग अ पर्टिकुलर सर्विस, बट द इंडिविजुअल इज लीस्ट कंसर्न्ड, है ना? याद है द वैल्यू ऑफ एम्पैथी, उसमें हमने डिस्कस किया था एपैथी, एंटीपैथी, एपैथी, सिंपैथी, एम्पैथी एंड कंपैशन. उसमें द वैल्यू ऑफ एपैथी इज व्हाट यू सी देयर. इंडिविजुअल इज डिसइंटरेस्टेड. आपको क्या प्रॉब्लम्स है, द इंडिविजुअल इज डिसइंटरेस्टेड. व्हाट हैपेंस एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ इट? The individual, you find the service not to be good. Why? Because the individual who is offering that service, that individual does not serve you up to the mark. That becomes the problem. That is what becomes the problem, है ना? So competence, attitude, both are important, है ना? And when we say attitude, remember, attitudes are also the reflection of someone's value, है ना? जस्ट आप पूछ रहे थे ना, हाउ इज इट रिलेटेड टू एथिक्स. So values determine attitude, attitude determines behavior, and the behavior of the individual, the someone who is delivering that service, determines how we judge the service to be. So our judgment is dependent upon the behavior of that very individual as well. है ना? This is basically the second point. Is it clear? Have you understood the very concept, this very idea which we have just I have just mentioned, attributes of the delivery personnel? Is that part clear? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Just, are you getting what I am trying to say? अभी भी कोई confusion तो नहीं है? But sir, all we want is result. Does not matter how. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. ऐसा नहीं है. That all you want is result. See, everyone wants to be economically well to do. But how you have achieved that is also what matters. How have you achieved? है ना? ये कहना कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ एंड रिजल्ट मैटर करता है और द वे यू अचीव दैट डज नॉट मैटर, ऐसा नहीं है. ओके, सो write down the second. Have I dictated the second point? Have I dictated the second point? Have I dictated the second point? Yes or no? Tell me. Okay, move on to the third point. The third point. Citizens or customers. Citizens or customers. Citizens or customers. Citizens or customers are citizens or customers are, okay, don't worry, I will dictate that also. Okay, I said one more point to be dictated, na? Don't worry. Okay, I will do that also. I'll do that also. Citizens or customers, first write down the third point. Citizens or customers are an important part of the delivery process, are an important part of the delivery process, part of the delivery process, as they provide feedback, as they provide feedback, they provide feedback which helps the organization, they provide feedback which helps the organization improve the quality of service delivery, the quality of service delivery, the quality of service delivery. What did I say? What have I mentioned? I have mentioned that customers or citizens are also an important ingredient here. If the customers that are there, or if the citizens that are there, if the customers or the citizens, they are able to do what? They are able to influence the process, how they provide feedback, है ना? They provide feedback about service, the quality of service, and depending upon the feedback that they have, if you integrate that feedback in the service delivery process, there is always going to be what? There is always going to be an improvement. There is always going to be an improvement in how the service delivery process works. Okay, there is always going to be an improvement there. Clear? So customer is an important, citizens are important. If citizens are more aware, they are more ready to provide feedback. Once citizens are more ready to provide feedback, so they are going to influence the service delivery positively. On the other hand, lack of awareness among citizens will do what? Them not being capable of providing feedback. If they are not capable, it would negatively impact the service delivery process. Okay. Okay. Now, in the second point that you have mentioned, I had said that uh, the service delivery personnel is an important component of the service delivery process. I had mentioned that. And in this, you will have to add what? The attitudes, comma, competence, values of service delivery personnel influence the process. That is something that you have to add here. Okay. Sorry. The point that I've just mentioned, that is something that you will add here. I no, I forgot whether I've dictated it or not. So this is something which you have to add here. Okay. So this is basically a background understanding of quality of service delivery. Now we come to the part which I expect a question from, and you will give a subheading here, right? Problems of quality of service delivery. Problems. Now you will give a subheading here. Now, okay, ठीक है. See, the second point that I had dictated, I am repeating that once again. अगर कोई confusion है तो मैंने कहा है the service delivery personnel is an important component of the service delivery process. ठीक है? As the values, the attitudes, and the competence of the service delivery personnel affect the quality of service. ठीक है, फिर से रिपीट कर रहा हूं. Service delivery personnel is an important component of the service delivery process. Important component of the service delivery process as the values, the attitudes, and the competence they hold impact the quality of service delivery. Impact the quality of service delivery. Now we come to that part of the question of this topic where I expect a question from, okay, which is we will be talking about problems of quality of service delivery in India. Okay, problems of quality of service delivery in India. That is what we are now going to talk about. Okay, now see, uh, no, you were asking how is it related to the topic ethics, and I told you that there is a mixture of ethics along with governance in this probity in governance topic. Okay, so we will now understand that when we talk about civil services in India, when we talk about those organizations, those public organizations which are dealing with customers, citizens, and they no, they are delivering services to customers, they are delivering services to citizens. What exactly are the problems there, है ना? आप generally देखोगे जब कोई भी इंडिविजुअल गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में जाता है तो ही फील्स डिससेटिस्फाइड, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स ही फील्स डिससेटिस्फाइड with the kind of service. He feels dissatisfied with the kind of service. है ना? So that is basically what we are now in the process of discussing. That when it comes to that dissatisfaction, ये जो dissatisfaction होता है ये क्यों होता है? ठीक है, क्यों जनरली जो भी मैं एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूं तो मैं पब्लिक सेक्टर के एग्जाम्पल्स को नेगेटिव की तरह, नेगेटिव पब्लिक सर्विस, नेगेटिव क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस में यूज करता हूं, और प्राइवेट सेक्टर के एग्जाम्पल्स को मैं पॉजिटिव में यूज कर रहा हूं. व्हाई डज दिस हैपन मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स? दैट इज व्हाट वी आर प्राइमरली डिस्कसिंग हियर. ठीक है, एंड द वेरी फर्स्ट पॉइंट हियर इज लैक ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी. The very first point here is what? The point is lack of integrity. Lack of integrity. Which means what? देखो, एक इंडिविजुअल एक पब्लिक सेक्टर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में he goes there and he basically applies for a certain service. But those individuals who are responsible for providing those services, they demand bribe. They demand what? They start demanding bribes. They demand corruption. And they misuse the public office which they are a part of. So they misuse it. No, they start doing what? They start misusing it. And the personal interests that the individual has, that personal interest starts overriding the public interest that he should otherwise have upheld. जो उसे अपहोल्ड करना चाहिए था वो था पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट, लेकिन जो वो चाह रहा है वो है हिज ओन प्राइवेट इंटरेस्ट. That is the reason why he starts demanding bribes. He starts misusing the public office that he is occupying. And what is the consequence of it? That directly impacts perception of service, है ना? That directly impacts perception of service. जैसे ही वो इंडिविजुअल, अगर मैं मान लो किसी गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस में गया हूं और वहां पर मैं एक सर्विस के लिए अप्लाई कर रहा हूं, और वो इंडिविजुअल हु इज सपोज टू सर्व मी, द इंडिविजुअल स्टार्ट्स डिमांडिंग अ ब्राइब फॉर इट. The individual starts demanding a bribe for it. What will be the consequence of it? The consequence of it would be that I would not rate the service to be good. Why? क्योंकि I am an ordinary citizen, which the service I believe is my right. It is something that being a citizen, being someone who qualifies to get that service, it should be given to me, but that has not happened. So lack of integrity among civil servants, becomes one of the major problems which impacts the quality of service delivery. ठीक है? सैलरी नहीं मिल रही है गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज को. सबसे in today's time, the government employees that are there, the kind of precision in terms of regularity with which they get salaries, वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर में नहीं होता है. गवर्नमेंट में आप देखोगे कि बाय द टाइम द मंथ एंड्स, एग्जैक्टली दे विल देयर सैलरी गेट्स क्रेडिटेड. उसे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि क्या हो रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा है, उसकी सैलरी क्रेडिट हो रही है. तो ये कहना कि उनको पैसे नहीं मिल रहे हैं या ये कहना कि उनको एडिक्वेट पैसे नहीं मिल रहे, ये सारी चीजें गलत है ना? बिकॉज टुडे व्हाट वी सी इज दैट द गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस दैट आर देयर, द गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस डू no, the government organizations do receive competitive salaries today. ठीक है? They do receive competitive salaries today. Private sector, देखो, private sector has to survive on market discipline. प्राइवेट सेक्टर के जो लोग हैं उनको पता है कि उनका ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तभी सरवाइव कर सकता है जब तक वो कस्टमर्स को खुश रखेगा. अगर कस्टमर्स हैप्पी नहीं है, इफ दे आर डिससेटिस्फाइड, सो व्हाट दे विल डू is that they will leave their organization. The day the customer starts leaving the organization is going to do what? The organization is going to die. है ना? So in private, in comparison to public sector, salary cannot be the reason. ठीक है? Anyways, write down the very first point, lack of integrity. Within this, you can write down the prevalence of corruption, comma, bribery, and misuse of public offices, comma, diversion of public resources have a significant impact on the quality of service delivered, full stop. Second point, second reason for what? Second reason for the quality of service not being up to the mark is what? Weak accountability. Now, accountability meaning what? Accountability meaning, who will tell me what is the meaning of this term accountability? What is the meaning of this term accountability? What does that mean? Yes, tell me. What is the meaning of the term accountability? Answerability. The term accountability means answerability. Being answerable for something. And being answerable. But what we see in primarily the government organizations, civil services, is you will find that the accountability mechanism is quite weak. Meaning that it is difficult to hold someone accountable or responsible for his actions or her actions. Very difficult for them to be held accountable or responsible. Clear? So that does what? That actually affects the quality of service. Clear? Please write this down. In civil services, there is a gap with respect to the work performed the work performed, and 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 accountability, the work performed and answerability for for such performances, full stop, full stop. Officials generally escape officials generally escape escape responsibility for delays and negligence, escape responsibility for delays and negligence because of poor grievance redressal, because of poor grievance redressal and weak disciplinary mechanisms, weak disciplinary mechanisms. Therefore, impacting public service delivery, impacting public service delivery, full stop. Sir, files are not reactions to high levels or low levels in the hierarchy, rather in between strength to red tapeism. Red tapeism to hota hai, that is there, but red tapeism is not something which is related to accountability. It is another separate factor which can be used to to describe the problem related to quality of service delivery. Okay. Anyways, so this is where we end our discussion today. Tomorrow there is a slight bit of discussion related to problems remaining. So we continue with that part. Once we have completed that part, we move to the next topic. The next topic that I will be discussing would be I will be discussing the topic work culture. Okay. Once we complete this, we move on to our discussion of the topic work culture. Okay. Today, that means this week, in this week, primarily our discussion is related to probity. We'll try and complete our discussion on probity. Okay. Okay. So that's it for today. We'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow we take up this discussion further. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.